The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the webinar. I'm super excited to have you all on today. We have a really great topic, a ton to discuss and dig into, so I'm super excited to dive in. We're going to give everyone just a minute or two to hop on here. So while we have everyone join, I'd love for you folks to see if you're able to use the question box feature of GoToWebinar and just type into that question box, which I'll be able to see where you're calling in from today. I love to see all the folks that we have on here, how people are calling in from so many different corners of the world. So feel free to put into that question box while we wait here where you're calling in from. For example, I am calling in to you all today from Boston, Massachusetts. I love it up here, born and raised around here, so it's great. But I do love to get out and travel when I can. So we have some other folks typing in here. We have Rita calling in from Seaford, Delaware. Welcome, Rita. James from Oklahoma. Welcome. Jeff, also from Boston. Welcome. Jennifer from Wayland, Massachusetts. Welcome. Some folks from Florida. Tammy from Michigan. Kurt from Fort Myers, Florida. Shay from Seattle, Washington. Linda from Florida. Andrew from New York, welcome. Angela from Ottawa, Canada, welcome all the folks from Canada calling in here today. Christine, also from Boston, welcome. Robert from Tewksbury, Mass, welcome. We have some folks from Connecticut, some folks from Pennsylvania. We have folks from all corners of the world here today. This is great. Jeff from Columbus, welcome. Sabrina from Minnesota, welcome. Ellie, also from Boston, welcome. So many folks here today on the line. I could go on and on. We got Ben from Kansas, Scott from Colorado. This is great. I love to see this. Caroline from Tennessee, welcome. We got Michael from Troy, Michigan. He says, go green. Love it. Love to see it. We got some folks from Wayne from Ontario. This is great to see. Neil, also from Ontario. Welcome. Marty from Kansas City. It's really amazing that these virtual events can bring folks from all different corners of the world together to gather this information together, something that we might not necessarily all be able to do in person. So this is really, really great. Thank you all for typing in where you're from. It's just a really nice, warm feeling to know that we're all on the same call together, even though we're calling in from so many different places. So this is great. With that being said, we're going to jump into a couple of housekeeping items for today's webinar. So just so you all know, this webinar will be recorded. So you'll get the recording and the materials that I'll cover today in your inbox later today. So don't worry about taking notes or anything like that. You'll have the materials in your inbox later on, and you'll also be able to find the recording very easily on the WordStream and Local IQ YouTube channels. So if you ever do want to access the recording otherwise, or want to see the recordings from all of our other webinars, all of our recordings are easily accessible on our YouTube channel, so just type in WordStream or Local IQ into the YouTube search and we'll come right up and you can find our webinar recordings there. Also, as I mentioned, I wanted you all to practice using the question box because I want you to feel comfortable typing in your questions throughout this webinar. Now, I will go through all of the questions at the end for our Q&A segment, so definitely be sure to save and submit your questions throughout and at the end of the webinar for our Q&A segment. If you joined any of our past webinars, you know this is one of my favorite parts of our webinar events. We've had some really great in-depth Q&A sessions before, so I'm looking forward to diving into that. So some of you on this call today might already be familiar with Local IQ or already be working with us, so welcome. Some of you might be totally new, and that's great too. And some of you might be familiar or working with our sister brands, Reach Local and WordStream. So for all of the folks on the call today, I just want to get us on the same page on who Local IQ is. So Local IQ is an all-in-one marketing platform that helps businesses thrive and grow by finding, converting, and keeping customers. So we marry that proprietary marketing technology with first-in-class expertise and service and allow you free tools and other resources to give you time back into your day to focus on other things with managing your business. So a common question I get asked in these webinars is where can you learn more about Local IQ or WordStream and our sister brands Reach Local and WordStream. So feel free to check us out on our blogs, the Local IQ and WordStream blog on our website. We cover all of the information that we cover in these webinars super in depth on there. So if you ever need more information or have questions that didn't get answered, definitely check out our websites to get more info. Also, be sure to follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. We post regularly on there on other webinar events if you'd like to join more. We also share in-depth blog posts if you want more information or more in-depth articles on the topics that we cover here. And we also share other updates and exciting news, so definitely be sure to follow us. So a little bit about me. My name is Susie. Hello, and it's wonderful to meet you all. I'll be your speaker and presenter for today. I am a content marketing specialist over at Local IQ, and kind of how I came to be in this role is I previously was working with businesses just like many of you, day in and day out, coaching them through all things under the digital marketing sun as a digital marketing consultant over at WordStream. So I took that knowledge of working with businesses in real life and coaching them through all of their different accounts and strategies and campaigns and applying it to the educational content that I write on the Local IQ and WordStream blogs today. So I love digital marketing. I live and breathe it. I write about it all day. I talk about it all day, as you can tell. So I'm super excited to dive into this topic today. And a little bit of a fun fact about me, like I said, I'm based out of Boston and I love to snowboard on the weekends. Winter is my favorite season, so I'm really looking forward to this upcoming season. So that means I'm all that much more excited to talk about some seasonal strategies. So what we're going to be covering for today, we have some really great data and insights behind the seasonal consumer, and I wanted to dive into those stats because, again, for folks on this call today, I'm going to make this webinar as applicable as possible to all industries and all different types of businesses. So even if you feel like you're unsure if you need a seasonal strategy, maybe you're totally new to this, maybe you already have your seasonal strategy built out, or maybe it doesn't really impact your business at all, but you still are curious, we're going to dive into all of those great statistics and data, and then we're going to learn how to apply that data to your current strategies. So we're going to talk about what seasonal search marketing is, how you can implement it, what that might mean, what that might look like, and then also other channels that can help you maximize your efforts this season and beyond. Because again, whether or not it impacts your business, it's going to, these next few months are crucial to your overall year and the following year as well. And then we're going to talk about some potential thought starters, some takeaways that I want you guys to keep in mind as we jump into the Q&A segment. So I love to keep people on their toes and wake everybody up with a quick pop quiz. So I'd love for you to type into the question box, how do the holidays usually impact your business? Do you feel like it's a really busy season? Do you feel like it's a super slow season? Maybe it doesn't impact your business at all. Maybe you don't even notice it. I'd love to hear from folks, how have you historically seen the holidays impact your business, your search strategy? Maybe you see more traffic. Maybe you don't see any new sales at all. Maybe you shut down for a couple of weeks around the holidays. Everybody's in a different boat, so I just like to get a feel for what matters to folks on this call today. So we have Allie saying it's usually her slow season. On the opposite end, we have Brenda saying that it's super busy for her. So again, this is just a great example. Christy actually pauses a few on new initiatives. Lauren sees more traffic. Angie says it's slow. Jeffrey says it's super busy. Valencia says it's a busy season and they often see new trends. Elizabeth says we don't do well over the holidays. No, Elizabeth, we're going to help you with that today. Wow, tons of folks here. Jesse says it's busier. Raul says there's no effect at all. That's great. Shannon says they get a little slow. Grace says that things pick up. Robert says it doesn't really impact his business. That's great to see. Some folks are saying it's a mix. It can be hit or miss. Sometimes it's busy, sometimes it's slow. So it really is dependent on the business. Robert here, he says he's new to digital marketing, so unsure. Welcome to those folks who might not be sure what to do when it comes to seasonal strategies for digital marketing. Also fine too. Cynthia says it's slow and she actually shuts down for 2 weeks. Thomas says it's hopeful for a strong holiday sales season. This is great, great, great to see. We have all of these folks on here today, all these different business types, all of these different seasonalities that we see on here today. For example, we have Jeff working in events that finally slowed down. We have Tammy who again says it doesn't really impact her business. So lots of different folks on every different end of the spectrum. And I wanted to do this pop quiz because I want you all to realize that as I go through these topics today, I want you to be thinking about how this could impact your business. Sure, you might not be like a retail business that's ramping up for Black Friday and all these other holidays, or maybe you are, and it's going to mean different things for every type of business. So I'm going to try and be as inclusive of that as possible throughout the topics that I discuss. So again, whether you're unsure, whether you feel like it could be a totally different thing for you, I just want to be thinking about how you can take these concepts and apply it to your unique needs, because at the end of the day, every business is unique. So let's get into some of the data. I know we all love the exclusive insights, so let's dive into that first. I won't keep you all waiting anymore. So a common question that comes up, and first and foremost that I want to cover, is when do you start considering your seasonal strategy? When should you be ramping up? When should you be bracing yourself for those inclines or declines in searches around the holiday season? It's actually way earlier than you might think, which is exactly why we're having this webinar right in smack dab in the middle of September. And that's because, as you can see here with this exclusive data that we got from our partners over at Microsoft, that early promotions and search volume for holiday related searches and just searches in general really do ramp up right around this time. And they'll lead up, as you can see, all the way up to Black Friday and the days leading up to Black Friday. So as you can see, it's definitely even risen since year over year, since last year. So definitely expect to see an incline in your searches overall. So again, even if you're not running seasonal promotions on your search campaigns, you might still see an increase in traffic regardless, because they're on those and they're searching, they're a little bit more active, they're online a little bit more, maybe they're planning what they're doing with their family, they're looking for gifts, they're planning on fixing up their home to have guests over. It could be anything under the sun, because the holidays really do impact the day-to-day lives of almost every consumer out there. So I do want to touch on the seasonality a little bit more here. So this is, again, from our friends over at Microsoft. We also see that if you don't even ramp up here in September, it's going to continue, and October is going to contribute to even more and more clicks. So you might even see, even if you don't do seasonal search strategies, an increase in your clicks coming in the coming months, September, October specifically, and then also November, December. So anticipate to ramp up. And we see here adjusting budgets as necessary, which I will get into later when we talk about the takeaway strategies here. So we also wanted to pull our own data from our own unique study over here at Local IQ with over 2,000 respondents. And again, I know this is a little bit retail focused here with, when people are specifically shopping on specific, big retail days, right? Black Friday, Cyber Monday, things like that. But again, I want you to be thinking about how people are online regardless, right? So even if I am not, directly a retail company, I might be, showing my ads passively while somebody is shopping for gifts anyway, and still getting my brand's name out there on these very, very important days, high traffic, high volume online days. So some other seasonal factors to consider other than timing and what to expect when. First of all, again, it's not just holiday purchases and gift shopping that we're talking here. These folks that are shopping for holiday items are also thinking about other goals that they have in mind in the coming months. So you might want to ramp up your strategy now for, the next 6 months going into the spring. For example, folks that are looking to remodel or redecorate their home. That's obviously a longer term, bigger project that they're not looking to get done, by Christmas or by any of these other holidays around this time of year. But they might be looking for those long-term informational sources, long-term planning, things like that. Folks are looking to, maybe try new fitness goals with the new year, ramping up their new equipment, electronics, things like that. So super popular for just general life changes around this time of year. I think a lot of folks think of it as kind of like new year, new me. So I'm getting after that project I need to get done, or I'm finally taking my fitness and my health seriously, or I'm finally going to make that jump and change my job. So again, there's tons of different industries that you get impacted by just that notion of it's going to be a new year and the holidays are fast approaching. So we as consumers are changing our lives and looking for businesses to help us out with that. So something else that I want you to consider for your search campaigns this holiday season is just in general, you're probably going to see higher cost per clicks than you've seen previously. And that's because in, again, our own unique data research for search advertising benchmarks, which you can find on the WordStream and Local IQ blogs, we found a year-over-year increase in cost per clicks in general. So there is something called click inflation occurring across the search platform. So again, regardless if you're a business-to-business business, maybe you're looking to target other professionals and you're still running like regular search ads around this time of year, you might end up seeing your costs go up a little bit. So you're going to need to adjust how you're bidding or your budgets accordingly. And that might look different for folks, right? So as you can see, some of these industries actually didn't see a rise in cost per click. So try and take note of what you might see in your unique industry, and also take note about your short-term and long-term goals, right? So yes, my clicks might be a little bit more expensive around the holiday season, but to me, does that mean those clicks are of higher value? So I'm okay paying that a little bit more around this time of year, and then maybe paying less later in the year, or earlier next year, or vice versa. So you really want to be thinking about that too. So again, we're seeing a growth in clicks across industries. So regardless, again, of your search, your seasonal strategy, or whatever type of business you are, you're most likely going to see a lift in the amount of clicks that your search campaigns are generating around this time of year. Again, we're seeing a 4.9% lift in clicks. This is from that data from Microsoft. And we see, an estimate of clicks really to shoot up in the, just in about a couple weeks from now. So be ready to take on more of those clicks. And what I mean by that is, yes, more folks are online, they're searching, they're clicking on your ads, right? So is your website ready to take that increase in traffic? Is your budgets ready to afford more clicks that are obviously going to cost you more money? Or potentially, maybe you want to address your landing pages. I don't want to be having all this traffic come to my website and not have my website be ready to handle it. So thinking about those types of factors that could impact your strategy as well. And then lastly here, we're just thinking about locations as well. So as in-store shoppers and around the holiday, it's comforting to folks that, they're able to shop in-store. So we're definitely seeing more of those, location-centric searches. And that could be for anyone. That could be for a local service business. In general, folks are looking for those search local specifics results, right? So we're seeing a popularity in buy online and pick up in store, or a popularity in local services and service ads being clicked on. We're expecting holidays consumers to seek out store locations and nearby options for goods and services in general. So momentum from January through June, has risen with these local queries like near me, store location, and they're actually, those types of searches are pacing 36% higher than last year. So definitely anticipate elevated traffic to continue to rise through December as shoppers map out their store destinations, their local provider destinations. And in general, I think folks around these days are looking really to just work with businesses that know the area, that feel more familiar, are local, are nearby, things like that. Okay, great. So let's talk about how this could also impact other platforms. So I did a lot of digging into some search data. I do have a little bit of non-search data that I thought folks might find interesting. So it doesn't mean that search is just the end all be all for folks when it comes to holiday and seasonal traffic and strategies. We also don't want to forget those social media platforms. In fact, these platforms are really, really popular, and they're still continuing to rise year over year. And all of these, it's not just one, right? So we still have the OGs, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, but we also are seeing rises in things like Snapchat, Reddit, YouTube. All of these are on the rise usage-wise to find information about your business during this time of year and throughout the year. So we also want to be thinking about, all right, if I'm pushing out these seasonal strategies on my search campaign, do I need to do the same for my social campaigns and so on? Great. So now that you have the data, what does this all mean for your business? How can you take these strategies and adapt to these fluctuations in just the consumer lifestyle or the organizational lifestyle of, if you're B2B, right, of how to adapt those strategies, how to be flexible, be nimble. Like we talk about that a lot in marketing, but how do you actually change what you're doing and what you're running to be as profitable as possible without risking a lot, right? Because when you make those changes, you don't necessarily know if it's going to bring the results that you want at the time that you want, so let's dive into that a little bit. So first and foremost, I wanted to dive into seasonal search, right? That's kind of why we're all here. We're interested in the search patterns. And when we're talking search marketing, this can impact so much more, like your display ads, what other pages people are visiting that are my ideal audience, things like that. So to maximize your search marketing during the holidays, it might look like for some businesses budget and budgeting. So you might need to evaluate and reallocate depending on your needs, depending on some of that data that I just shared, right? So if you know that you're anticipating a much higher CPC around this time of year and you already feel like things are kind of slow, then you really can't afford to miss out on any clicks, right? So I might be willing to reallocate, a little bit of budget from another campaign, for example, to make that budget stretch all that much longer around this time of year so I can really squeeze the most out of my campaigns and get the most clicks possible, even if they're a little bit more expensive, right? So we shouldn't be always necessarily thinking, oh, that cost per click is so expensive, it's killing me, it's killing my campaign, I'm not going to put any budget behind it. If the click is worth it, and if you can get them to convert once they get to your landing page, it might be worth temporarily, putting a little bit more budget into that and getting those clicks rather than, missing out on those clicks. And another example that I always like to use is, let's say, setting your expectations for that accordingly. So if I do want to grow my clicks, if it is a really slow season, and I'm like, yeah, it's slow, I need to get more traction, more traffic to my site from my search campaigns this time of year, but I know my clicks are going to be a little bit more expensive, then I'm going to have to set my expectations based around my budget. So if average cost per click for my business is $10 and I have a $10 daily budget, then I can only afford to get one click per day, and that click better convert, man. And that's totally fine. That's okay. And you can work and get those clicks each, click as you go and each day and build up a little bit more. And then as you build up a little bit more data, maybe, and as the time goes by, maybe you can afford to get a little bit lower CPCs. Maybe you can work to get some lower CPCs. It's always going to ebb and flow. There is no stagnant answer for your cost per click, but that's just one example of just wanting to set your expectations and your budget according to your expectations. So you might want to keep that $10 daily budget, but just be ready to get, just a couple of clicks a day, which is totally fine. It's going to look different for every business. And then also too, I'm not just talking about, dumping more budget in. Obviously, that's not feasible for every business out there. I'm definitely a strong believer in not just jumping to add more budget, because obviously when you add more budget to a campaign, it's probably going to perform better, right? But just thinking about, again, how you might want to move around budget to, equal out to an overall ideal spend for your day or for your month or for your quarter, right? So again, if I'm, pushing this one seasonal product, then I might be okay putting a little bit more budget into that campaign that's, pushing the seasonal promotion, and, maybe scaling back budget or dialing back budget in another campaign. So it's all just kind of about working around what works for your business and trying to think creatively and out of the box when it comes to search budget. It's definitely something you want to be thinking about. Also, something a little bit lighter, easier that you can definitely dig into around this time of year is just refreshing your ad copy and creative. And again, if you don't have a seasonal promotion to put forth on your search ads, like you see in this example over here on the right, or on your display ads or anything like that, don't be afraid to still just give something a little bit fresh. People are online, they're searching a lot. You're probably going to get more impressions on your ads, regardless if you're B2B, B2C, whatever it may be. So just be ready for your audience to maybe get a little bit tired of the current creative and ad copy that you might be running. This is the time to try something new. When you have more impressions, you have more eyes on your ads, and you can really see the results from that in the long term. So definitely be refreshing that. You don't want your audience to tire out from your copy. And then again, we're going to see more traffic to our sites around this time of year, regardless of our industry, right? So be ready for that traffic. You want to make sure that your site is fully optimized, running as efficiently as possible. So that means potentially loading quickly, potentially looking at the ease of use. Is it mobile responsive? There's a lot of folks on mobile these days. Is it easy to navigate? Is my action, most importantly, that I'm looking to have them complete, as clear as possible, right? And easy to do. So if I'm looking for them to fill out a form to, do a demo with my business, that's great. But if it's not super clear on the landing page from my ads and it's not super easy for them to do, then it's going to be really tough to turn those clicks into conversions. So I think, again, another takeaway is you could have the best seasonal search strategy in the world, but if your landing page and your website isn't optimized, you're not going to see results from it. So it's going to come down to that as well. Definitely looking into that, refreshing the copy on that too. Anything you can do to really just get into the mind of the consumer around this time of year and how you can make their life easier to do what you want them to do, right? And then we might be looking at some new keywords. It's always good to do additional keyword research and refresh keywords. So definitely be looking at that, thinking about the intent of these keywords, right? So we did see in some of the data that I just shared, people are looking for more information. They might be planning longer term projects. So you might be looking at some more long-tailed keywords, some more informational based searches, right? So usually we don't necessarily want to go after someone who's looking at, what is the best way to remodel my bathroom? Normally we want to, if I were a home services business, normally we would want to get somebody that's like, remodel contractor near me. But ideally, like, honestly, they're probably not ready to sign on with a contractor yet. They're just trying to get initial information. So we might want to switch gears into the, what is the best way to, remodel my bathroom or something like that. So again, just an example of thinking about the searcher's intent this time of year. And then I did touch on this a little bit when I was talking about budgets, but just really thinking about your long and short-term goals here. So and I'm not talking about specifically to each campaign. I understand that you can add a goal to a campaign in the actual build out of it, but we're just talking about for your business, for how you're going to measure success for your seasonal search strategy, what that might look like for you. So again, the seasonal time of year might be kind of slow. You might scale things back, you might close down. So what does that mean for your search campaigns? Does that mean that you're going to set your short-term expectations and your short-term goals to see not a ton of success, but in the long term, save that money that you save from scaling back and put it more in towards your long-term success and saying, all right, I might, not expect immediate results, around this time of year because I know things are slow, but I would love to see my awareness get built out during this time of year so that in the long term, I can see that these seasonal searches come back to my business after the holiday rush is over. So another thing that we want to be thinking about when we're thinking about the search engine results page is also SEO. And for folks who are totally new to this concept, SEO stands for search engine optimization. And this is essentially like the free version of, just making sure your business is showing up on search engines like Google and Microsoft ads or Microsoft search results page. So it's kind of like the little sister to PPC in terms of digital marketing strategies. It's totally free. So there's no reason why any business shouldn't be doing it, right? You need to be doing this because it's free. It helps your business show up. And again, thinking back to our PPC, if I can't necessarily afford to do, super built out PPC, or my PPC strategy is new, I'm not really, doing a ton of search ads yet, then this is just another way to make sure that your business is showing up on the SERP. So when your ads don't show, at least your organic listings are also showing. And we're not just talking about, showing up in the search engine results, but we're also talking about local listings and other free ways that you can promote your business across Google products, across other local listing sites. So for example, that might just mean making sure that you're actually present on there. So creating your local listings, your Google business profile, whatever it may be, and checking on that frequently, updating it for holiday hours, adding some holiday content, as you can see here on the right. It's a great example of a small business that has a Google My Business listing. They're showing up organically in the Google Business Profile section. And then in here, you click into it and you see holiday content right away. So this is just catering to the holiday audience in just a free, easy way, while still being present and showing up for free. And then also too, something that does impact how you're going to rank in things like the maps and other locations is your reviews. So never, never, never be afraid to ask for reviews and be sure to respond to everyone. And I know that sounds cringy and it's really hard to do as a marketing manager or business owner, but just the few minutes you can take to respond to your reviews is totally going to make a difference. We have a ton of statistics on this on our blog, so definitely check it out. but that's what consumers are looking for, especially around the holiday season when they have so many options to choose from. They're getting thrown promotions and ads left and right. They're looking at businesses left and right. So you really need to make your business stand out with these listings, with these photos, with these reviews, right? And then something else that you want to be thinking about is you don't want your organic listings to be showing up for something that's way far off from your PPC, right? You want to be providing a consistent brand experience to holiday consumers and holiday businesses, seasonal, looking, searching businesses, to everyone out there. You want to have that consistent brand experience. So being sure that you're unifying your paid and organic keyword research efforts. So cross-checking. Am I ranking for, a specific keyword organically that I could potentially capitalize on in my PPC, or vice versa? And I did touch on seasonal content a little bit more. Blogging is a great example, and I know it's tough to just dig into the time of blogging, but it can really help build out your site, build out what your consumers can look at when they're on your site, and what folks might be looking for in helping your business to rank later. Optimizing those landing pages, making sure that your keywords are showing up on those landing pages, right? So that Google knows who you are and your consumers know who you are. So going back to that consistent brand experience, you never want one single potential customer or client or whoever you're marketing to ever question who your business is. They need to have a consistent experience across what they're looking at organically for you and what they're looking at paid-wise for you, what they're looking at on social media. So just making sure that your other landing pages, your blog posts align with what you're talking about in your ads or in your seasonal landing pages as well. And then also identifying any gaps, like I kind of mentioned, between the two strategies. So let's say, for example, in your PPC, your pay-per-click advertising strategy, you are really at the end of the day, you can't afford like a specific keyword, right? It's costing you way too much. You're not getting any conversions on it, but it's really relevant to your business, and you don't want to see that keyword go away in the grand scheme of your marketing strategy. Well, you might want to be targeting that a little bit more organically, and then not necessarily bid on it in the paid aspect, or vice versa. So just really thinking about, how can I make these two strategies work for one another? If something isn't working on paid search, then I might want to try it on organic. Or if I'm really struggling to rank for a keyword organically, then yeah, I'll toss a little bit of budget behind it on my paid search marketing campaigns, and I'll end up ranking for it right away because I'm paying for that ad placement, right? All right, so the other kind of aspect that is a fine line between organic and paid is social media, right? Because you can put money behind social ads, and then you also have social media as this amazing organic tool to just be posting for free and being present on, again, other channels that your consumers are going to be on. So something I really like to bring to attention to folks when I'm talking about social media marketing is it can absolutely benefit your PPC because it's such a huge brand awareness tool. So let's say I'm bidding on my brand name in my paid search campaign, and nobody's clicking on it because nobody's searching for it because they don't know to look for my business yet. So I would drive that awareness on these social media platforms where I can just show up organically and show to new audiences with these different placements, and then drive that awareness that way. So people see my business on social, and then they hop over to Google or Bing and type in my business's name from there. So thinking about how you can build that presence, whether you're putting money behind social ads or just doing, regular social media, organic social media marketing this season, it can definitely be hard to build a presence. I definitely get that. So a couple of things that I like to suggest to folks, especially when you're really trying to capitalize on this time of year, you really need to see results fast, which social media is a great platform to do that, is to try a couple different tactics. First and foremost, partnerships with other businesses, because then you can share your follower wealth, right? So seeing if there's another local business that maybe doesn't even necessarily relate to your business, but they're local, they're nearby your business, or you're able to grow that partnership with them. You maybe already have a relationship with them, something like that, where you can just, even as simply as tagging each other or one another in a story or in a post or mentioning the other folks. Having that social media partnership can be such a big tool for businesses that are looking to grow on social media. Something else that can really help just drive things is mini contests or giveaways. So having those comments backs or tags backs or reposts for people who are interested in just, maybe winning a small prize, and you could even frame it as, you know, a holiday gift to the winner or whatever it may be. So just trying those little contests, those giveaways to just get folks to be sharing them out to their network, right? Would be super impactful to your business as well this time of year. Something that some folks do try out is influencer marketing as well. This is a really great way to just grow your following fast. And that's, of course, by reaching out to an influencer and paying them for a post or doing some type of partnership that way. Definitely something you can try. And when I'm saying influencer marketing, a lot of folks think, yeah, I'm talking about Kim Kardashian or whatever influencer that you might think of that has, you know, 3 million followers or 300 million followers, whoever they may be. I'm not talking about that, right? Because that's not necessarily feasible. What I'm talking about is micro influencers. And these are folks that have, you know, anywhere from 1,000 to 50,000 maybe followers. So they're a little bit smaller, a little bit more niche, specific to my specific market or my target market. Reach out to them. They might be a little bit more open to a partnership. They might do, you know, offer a little bit of a cheaper price per post, but can still be just as effective. So look into micro influencers as well this time of year. Trying different post formats. We've noticed recently, and I've done some really interesting research on this on our blogs about how different placements can help your business rank much faster. So depending on like if you're trying reels or stories, try something out of the box that you might not feel totally comfortable with when it comes to social media. It's the perfect place to do it because you're pumping out so many posts that like if the post flops, like it's not the end of the day for your business, right? So trying to get on the explore page with a reel on Instagram is a great way to reach totally new audiences that you wouldn't have been able to have seen your content otherwise because they're not following you. So trying something like that too, it can be great this time of year to really maximize, especially when you feel like it's kind of slow for you this time of season. Also a marketing planning calendar. With so many holidays, you want to be having as a diverse as possible marketing plan. Have your posts planned out ahead of time. It's going to save you so much time. It's going to make the holiday rush, because let's face it, we all have our own things going on this holiday season, right? We don't necessarily always have time to be posting to our brand's accounts. So pre-scheduling and pre-planning what you're going to post is going to save you so much time, so many headaches, and make sure that you're hitting all of the holidays that you want to hit right when they hit. So having those calendars are really helpful. We have a couple free templates on our site, so definitely check them out. And varying your content too, lastly, I would say is really important, just to make sure that your audience doesn't tire out. So if you want to continue to have your stuff be reshared, don't be afraid to share other folks' posts. There's actually something called the 411 rule, which means kind of like for every self-serving post, let's say like you do a super salesy push post, that you also repost content from others. So definitely check that out. You want to be able to repost, give your audience a little bit of variety, switch up your voice there, and just show that you're actually paying attention to other posts within your community or that you feel like are worth sharing to your audience as well. Another super popular tactic this time of year is email marketing, and this can also impact your search ads because maybe you're nurturing folks after they come to your landing page initially from your search ad, and then they fill out, you know, an email lead form, and now you're nurturing them down the funnel, right? So you want to be able to have as personalized an experience as possible for these folks during this time of year. So first and foremost, definitely outline your target market when you're framing up your emails for this time of year. For example, we have a really great post on target market research, which you can see a little snapshot from here, and just breaking down, like, it sounds really goofy, but thinking in your head, just imagining that person, that ideal customer for you, that ideal client, right? You know, what do they look like? What is their day-to-day like? What are the holidays, you know, going to be like for them? What that might mean for them? What are they doing day in and day out? What do they do for work? How much money do they make? You know, what do they like to do on their free time? What's their family like? What are their friends like? Where do they go out? You know, things like that in your target market research can really help you understand what type of email copy is going to be as effective as possible to these folks. So if I'm, you know, for example, in this breakdown that we have here with the middle class professional, you know, maybe I'm a B2B business. I don't really have a ton of holiday specific, you know, search campaigns running. I don't have a ton of holiday promotions to serve to this type of audience, but I do know that they're busy working all day, they're getting inundated with emails, and they're busy planning their holiday plans outside of work, right? So maybe I need to have a really eye-catching subject line or something really eye-popping otherwise around the holidays to help hook them in. Or maybe I need to give them a little bit of a break and space out my marketing accordingly as well. So just having that personalized email experience is going to be really, really helpful. And then, just trying some of those other switching up some of that too, to just have other things that you can promote in email too, like in-person promotions, events, partnerships, things like that. I see one question hopping in right now, and I know I'm tossing this word around a lot, so I'll just get this question really quick. What does SERP stand for? SERP stands for Search Engine Results Page. So Search Engine Results Page means that is the area on Google or Bing or any search engine that you use that shows your results after you type something in. So that's ideally where you're trying to look to show around this holiday season. I'll get to more of the questions in our Q&A, but please keep these questions coming in. This is awesome. With our last strategy here today, we have these limited time promotions and other strategies that I do want to cover. So there obviously is endless marketing channels that you can use around the holiday season, in addition to your search marketing, right? So even if you want to try some other channels, there's so many more out there that you can choose from, and it can feel a little overwhelming to know what's best. But at the end of the day, when it comes to the holidays, I think what a lot of brands are fighting for is that brand awareness, right? There's so many businesses that make themselves known around this time of year. So some other ways that you can just have your seasonal search marketing come full circle, get that awareness so that you can get that click on the SERP later on, is to have some other breakout channels. So for example, sweepstakes and customized limited time promotions and offers. We have a whole other webinar on this, so definitely check that out on our YouTube. But essentially just doing like a larger kind of lead generating strategy for like a sweepstakes or like a big prize that your general audience could enter. It's a really great way to just grow your email fill-ins and your content for that, to do that like email marketing and PPC later on. So definitely trying those. And also I always preach to folks, and I know I kind of mentioned this because this gives you something to market about, is just being present. So going to in-person or virtual events that relate to your industry or relate to your community around the holiday season. Maybe you can sponsor or be a vendor at a giving day or in your community, or maybe you can just volunteer your time, or even just being present and just getting your business's name out there is so, so important to make your business also known on the SERP later on. Also display and video ads, those are super fun to play around with this time of year. So just trying different creatives, just making your business again known and out there. And the lovely, lovely thing about display and video ads, and I'll admit, I love talking about these, is I just love the fact that you can show them passively when people aren't necessarily looking for your business or looking to buy from your business, right? So this is a great tool if you're really just looking to catch your audience off guard, or maybe you feel like you're really not top of mind to your audience right now. Like they don't care, they're not looking for you. How can you still make your business known? Display and video ads are the way to go for that, because you're right, they're not necessarily looking up best software solution for Q4 of 2023. They're probably looking up gifts for like their grandma. So showing a display or video ad on the side of that page while they're looking for gifts still makes your business known and top of mind to those folks that might not necessarily have your business top of mind. Now, again, that is just one example, but for folks that do have to ramp things up for the holidays, it's also a huge, huge win. Podcast marketing is definitely on the rise. Audio marketing, this is huge. People are listening to podcasts more and more, especially in light of folks just kind of working from home or now even commuting in a little bit more too. So podcasts have definitely been on the rise. You could place an ad within a podcast. You could start your own podcast. You can even do a holiday themed episode. You could team up with another business that's doing a podcast. Just another way to get your business out there. And lastly, something that I love to do is live chat promos on your website. So if you do have seasonal promotions that you want folks to know about and are worried that they might not necessarily be fully aware, definitely you can tweak your live chat to promote that. So upon entering your page, you can have a little chat bot slide up, kind of like in this example here, where it, could push a specific holiday or seasonal promotion, and then that makes them more aware, and then they can click into the chat to learn more. So just a few more different channels that I want you all to be considering on top of search marketing. So a couple thought starters for you all, because I know this was a ton of information I talked about a lot, and thank you for bearing with me through it all, is first and foremost, have patience. So the one running joke that I have on all these webinars and in the world of digital marketing is the hardest part of digital marketing, especially seasonal digital marketing, is patience. To have patience, to know to wait, collect some data, be ready to give your campaign some time to breathe and grow and collect data and optimize is so, so important. And I know that it's hard because it's difficult to see your business's hard-earned cash be put towards these campaigns that you don't necessarily see, results from right away. Of course, we would all love to see results right away, but that's just not the reality of digital marketing. It ebbs and flows, as we saw with those trends around the holidays, right? It changes, things, the consumer lifestyle changes. So just having that patience, I know the holidays are tricky, and sometimes you might just need to ride the wave. Sometimes you might just need to see how these results go and help use that data to impact your strategy for 2023 holiday season. Sometimes you might need to just collect some data and optimize as you go. So just having that patience and seeing your long-term goals and connecting back to your long-term goals is really going to help you maximize your marketing ROI for the holidays and just see how you can absolutely navigate the seasonal landscape to the best of your abilities. So having that patience is going to help you so much with that. Also knowing that there's no right or wrong answer to the holiday marketing season. And I think I made that clear in the plethora of examples that I gave today. There's so many different business situations out here. So having your seasonal marketing mix be unique, and I do say marketing mix, right? We want a variety of strategies. And the reason why I say that and why there is going to be a different marketing mix for every business this holiday season is because you want to have the ability to cover your own butt if a certain campaign doesn't do well, right? So if you have a few different campaigns across a few different channels this holiday season all running, then your odds of seeing a maximized marketing ROI on one of those is going to be much higher than putting all your eggs in one basket with one seasonal campaign. So really kind of feel out, again, do that target market research that I talked through and feel out like what are a few different channels on top of my search marketing that might help boost my search marketing for the season, but also just be other good channels to try for this holiday season. So again, it's going to look different for everyone. It's not like everyone has to just do search or everyone just has to do social or whatever it may be. As long as you're doing something that's better than nothing, building that out even more is going to bring your business all that much more success now and in the future, right? Because if you're seeing success through the holiday season, you're most likely going to see longer term success and extended success through the rest of the following year. And then again, I kind of started alluding to this a little bit, but be flexible, have that backup plan. The seasonal landscape is constantly changing. We see that with that data. There's so many things that we saw that are on the rise year over year from 2020 to 2021. So just because the landscape changes doesn't mean that your strategy shouldn't. Your strategy should be changing alongside the consumer landscape and the holiday landscape. So this is super important. So be sure to be flexible with your strategy this holiday season. And I know that was a ton of information, so we're going to jump into a poll here for you folks. So if you feel like that was a lot of info, you're not really sure, how you can still maximize your holiday strategy or just your strategy in general, maybe you're already, doing some of this with us or, trying something new, totally new to this, whatever it may be, especially for those folks here that have like a really specific or unique situation. I can't recommend enough hitting yes on that poll, just because if you have a unique question or a really specific business situation, you're going to want personalized one-on-one advice. So definitely hit yes on that poll so that you can get the most out of your marketing and have an expert really talk with you one-on-one on your specific and unique needs. With that going, we're going to keep the poll up for the remainder of the webinar as we switch into the audio portion with the Q&A. So I saw a ton of questions coming into this question box, and keep these questions coming. So again, we're going to keep the poll up, and you're just going to listen in on this Q&A segment. So everyone who still has questions, please type them in now. I'm going to sort through these questions. There is a ton here. Tons and tons of questions here. I'm going to kick things off with this question from Barbara. Thank you, Barbara, for this question. What % of revenue should be allocated to digital ads? This is a great question, and this is one that definitely comes up a lot. And I first will say something that nobody wants to hear, and that is that there is no right or wrong answer, right? It's going to look different for every business. Maybe you're running a ton of other different campaigns, you know, in store, in print, or, you know, whatever it may be, and you might see great success from that and not necessarily need to put as much budget or % of revenue into your digital ads as, you know, the next business next door. So I do want to preface with that, but I will give you kind of a rough outline, and definitely check out our marketing budget post on the Local IQ blog. We break this down super in depth that I actually wrote. But for what percentage of revenue should be allocated to your digital ads, your digital efforts, your digital marketing, I'll give you kind of a baseline. And again, this could look different for everyone. So don't beat yourself up if you are not doing this. We have found, you know, research has said that for a smaller business just starting out, you might be looking to dedicate about 5 to 10% of your revenue towards your digital marketing and your digital ads. However, if you are a larger business or really looking to maximize your results, or you've been doing this for a while now and you have a much more built out digital marketing strategy, we tend to see that number climb as high as, you know, 12 to 14% for enterprise businesses. So really it's going to be anywhere, I would say, between 5 to 15% of your revenue should be dedicated to digital marketing and digital ads, depending on your specific needs and where you are in your digital marketing journey. Great question, Barbara. So John asked a question here for the B2B folks on here. What is a good B2B basic marketing starting point? This is a great question, John. I definitely would say, and you know, not just because this is a kind of a search specific webinar, but I have worked with a ton of different B2B businesses in the past, and something that I think that most folks have, you know, started on, whether they're totally new or just their tried and true strategy, is, I will say, search. Search is super big for B2B, just because, again, those decision makers are most likely looking online for, you know, the solutions that you might offer. So I would definitely say starting with search is a decent starting point. It's also really great for beginners and just anyone in general that's looking to get their business out there. So I would definitely go ahead and say that on average would be the answer there. But some other good, we're also seeing that change, right? So we're also seeing a lot of B2B businesses on the rise on social media, way more often than we might have seen previously, with all these different platforms and all these different ways that you can creatively market your B2B business. So I wouldn't rule out like other platforms or channels like social media and other things as well. Live chat too is super big for B2B. So most consumers are going to expect live chat on your website as they land on your landing page. Definitely get that going. So those are a few starting points. I hope that was helpful. Let's see. Tons of other questions coming in here. More B2B questions. Keep your questions coming in. This is awesome. So I see couple folks on here asking, you know, what do we do when you have no idea? And this is kind of similar to John's question, but for more in general, for those B2C businesses on here today and things like that. What do you do if you're totally new to this, totally new to digital marketing, never really tried it before, not sure where to start, or maybe you started and you're kind of seeing shaky results, you don't know how to kind of move forward? You know, what would you do for your seasonal strategy from there? I would definitely say to just start with your goals and your expectations and your budget. Those are going to be the most important parts and what's going to be the deciding factor in what you decide to do for your seasonal strategy. So just thinking back to, again, like who that ideal customer is and thinking about what channels might be best for them is a really great way to start opening up your mind to many different digital marketing options. So once you kind of have like your initial goals, your initial ideal customer nailed down, then you can start to understand, well, what platforms are going to reach those folks and help me reach my goals at the same time. Again, I still say search is usually a really good resource to potentially build out your strategy and start out fresh and start out new, because you can kind of ramp up quick. One of our other speakers on here always talked about how search was like a faucet. You can turn it on and those leads will come in right away because you're putting some budget towards it, versus like SEO or social media, which is a little bit longer term and might bring you longer term results. You also want to be thinking about the short and long term as you get started here. Okay, a couple other questions here. Valencia asked a couple of questions when it comes to social media marketing for the season. Do you have an example posting pattern? How many days and how many times within a day should you post? She uses a couple different solutions for how she's scheduling right now. This is a great question. And we have a ton of in-depth posts on what's the best time to post, when is the best time to post, how often you should post. But a good rule of thumb is going to be specific to platform. So for example, for LinkedIn, we're looking at maybe 1 to 3 times per week, versus on Twitter, you're looking at maybe 1 to 3 times per day, right? So it's going to be specific to platform, I would say, but you definitely don't want to oversaturate that audience. If you're struggling to think of content and to curate content for every, platform, I would set your expectations a little bit lower, start a little bit slower with maybe like once per week or something like that on each platform, and build up from there. John also asked, when I say search, am I talking about Google search? So that is, I think, a common misconception too. Search isn't necessarily just Google. Bing and Microsoft is a huge share of the market now as well. It's almost like 50-50, so you could be showing on there as well. And when I say search, it could be, I usually am alluding to paid search ads, so PPC, so Google ads, definitely, yes. Microsoft ads as well, though. But I also wouldn't say to rule out SEO. Again, that's going to be a little bit of a longer term strategy, but just as important. So definitely want to just focus in on those search results as you can. The other thing to keep in mind, and for folks that are on the, thinking about search, is when you open a Google Ads account, it's not like you're just able to serve search ads. How you serve your display ads or your shopping ads or many different other types of ad formats, YouTube, that's all through Google as well. So you're just kind of dipping your toes into, Google Ads. You might start out with a standard search campaign and then totally build out from there and try a couple of different ad types. So I think it just unlocks a lot of different channels and opportunities within like one platform, and same goes for Microsoft. This was awesome. I know we have tons more questions coming in. I wish I could answer all of your questions, but I know we're coming right up on time, so I will wrap up with this. Thank you all so much for joining. This was great. Definitely be on the lookout for the recording later on. And if you didn't feel like you got your questions answered, be sure to hit yes on that poll, and keep your eyes peeled for more upcoming webinars in the future. We do them at least once a month. And they're always really great topics. Love to see the questions coming in and have these in-depth Q&A sessions. So thank you all so much. Best of luck with the holiday season, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.